Before we begin, I have to make a quick announcement. This has been one of the best interviews I've ever recorded for this podcast. Unfortunately, I set up the microphone in the wrong way, so you couldn't really hear my voice properly. You can still understand Dustin loud and clear, but unfortunately my voice sounds a bit different. You will still understand what is going on and you will still understand what I said. As this microphone is also new to me, I also have to get used to it. We didn't want to record a second time because this interview was so funny and so interesting and it wouldn't have been the same. And now enjoy this really amusing interview with Dustin. Hello and welcome back to Unpopular People. We believe that listening and learning from each other is key for personal development and success. Today in our interview, Dustin. Dustin is a drag queen from Brisbane. And she's also a dad. He's also a dad. You will find more about her in this interview. If you want to find out more about Unpopular People, please visit our website www.unpopularpeople.com and sign up for our newsletter to join our community. And now enjoy this very incredible interview with Dustin.
Well, wasn't that wonderful?
It was really good, eh?
Yeah, I'm impressed with that.
Thank you very much.
Start to finish. I don't know what I can and can't say right now.
First of all, hi Dustin.
Well, hello, how are you? It's so exciting to be here on the Gold Coast. And I don't know if you've been to this apartment before, but it looks like an IKEA catalogue that's gone wrong. But
absolutely. It's like fully furnished, so we didn't bring anything of our own stuff.
Yeah, I can tell.
That's why it doesn't have any like personal touch, just a plastic plant in the corner. So
to be honest, they look like they had taste. I feel a little bit like Ivan Milat, like hanging around these backpackers today. Like, it's so scary.
Backpackers?
Yeah, you know how he killed all those backpackers?
Oh,
yeah, welcome.
First of all, thank you very much for taking the time today to be part of our interview with Unpopular People. And I want to start off, so just to get a brief idea, or that the audience can get a brief idea about who you are. Maybe you can tell us, like, where were you born and how did you grow up? Tell us a little bit about your childhood.
Okay, so to start off with, I'm incredibly thin. I'm sure if you ever see a photo, you're going to say, wow, I'm worried. But I was actually born in the country. So when you think of who I am as a person, think of Cam from Modern Family. Like, I am very much a country gay. I think when you're a country gay, you have two options. You can either stay secretive about it or be so extra that you need to leave the city. I did grow up in the country. It was a really great place where I lived. We grew up on a farm. We had pigs. Yeah, they were the type of animals where you would just get attached before you would eat them, and then you would eat it for like 6 months and remember it every day. I was a vegetarian for a good while as a child too, because, you know, when you witness your own animals die, but then sneaking chicken at night time. So yeah, that's who I was as a child in the country.
So where is this country place? Like where are you, like what's the name of the town?
Well, for everybody listening, it's Kilcoy. That's Kilcoy, not Kingaroy. We're known for beef and a yowie with a big penis. That is it. Can I say penis? I'm not sure of the words I can say. Of course you can say. Can I say anything?
You can say any word you want to.
Cunt? Yeah. Racist cunt. Yeah, can I say those words?
You could say those words.
Cool.
Yeah.
I won't.
We just have to like mark it as explicit afterwards, but that's totally fine.
Okay, fair enough. I wish I had known that in the first place. I forget what the question is, but Kilcoy. So essentially, when I grew up, now it has a population of about 1,000 people, something like that. Maybe even a bit more, like 1,600. They have abattoirs there. You have two options when you're growing up. You're either going to work at this abattoirs or you're going to leave. That's it. I did work there for a while as well. It was one of the saddest times of my whole life. But you either graduate and they give you a butcher knife, like, and your certificate, like, come over, get the bus, we're going to start you working now.
Oh God, okay.
So I am, believe it or not, sitting here in all my finery today.
Yes, I can prove this. Yeah.
Yes, in all my finery. I am the youngest child of 3 and also the youngest grandchild on both sides. So I did spend a lot of my time as a child needing attention and not getting it. That is probably the truth of the situation, which is probably why I'm here now.
Okay. So what made you, like, I mean, you told us a bit about like where you come from, but what made you move to like another place?
I think generally when you think about Kilcoy, It is honestly one of the nicest places that you can be at. It is beautiful, but I think when you grow up, and especially when you grow up having to not be who you are, whether that is gay or lesbian or bisexual or whatever the situation is, if you're going to stay there, you need to, I guess, really hide who that was. And for me to be there, it just wasn't an authentic person, if that makes sense. So I think from the ages of, 8 or 9 or something really young, that I knew it was not big enough.
Okay.
That I was definitely, I had to leave. Like I had to leave, and like so many other queer folk, the options aren't there to be who you want to be. If you want to be there, that's fine. You can stay there. But at that time and that period and who we were as Australians, like at this point we didn't have gay marriage and we didn't have a lot of these things. As a queer kid in the country, sometimes you have to just leave. Like you have to go and experience that world and find your tribe, because if you're going to stay somewhere and somewhere that is going to say you can't be who you are, it's just not a good place to be, if that makes sense. So I think as soon as I could leave, and I think it was roughly around 2007, I moved to the city. I kind of had this like, I finally get to be who I want to be. I get to go do what I want to do. And while it has taken me a long time to kind of get to where that is, I still go home now, and it's really quite a good place to go back to. I miss it as much as anything now as an adult, and I think now it has diversed and whatnot, but it is still a country town, and you don't even when you look at it as in like you don't want to be queer or you can't be all those types of things, they don't have the opportunities that you have in the city. You won't get a job. When I joke and I say that you had to go join the abattoirs, that was it. Or there was also a gardening place, Searles. I don't know, they do like fertilizer and whatever. That was option B. So you had option A or option B. I didn't drive at the time, so for me to go anywhere was I had to do Centrelink for like 2 weeks of my whole life. Sorry, this is off course, but you had to go hand in your form every fortnight. And so I finished high school, and I don't have a job because I live in Kilcoy, but I was going to get Centrelink. So I went down and did the Centrelink, and they're like, okay, so next week you have to come back and put your form in to get your Centrelink next week, which was all cool. So at that point I was still living with my parents, and I was being paid from Centrelink $32 a fortnight.
What?
Yeah, $32. But the bus ride to drop in my form each way was $15. So
you received like a whole $2 for
so
$1 a week.
I didn't even have a bank account, so mum got it, and I think I did that once, and I was just kind of like, yeah. But I had a great time because I would borrow like $50 off them, go down to the city, go sit around, do all those things, like I get a kebab. I know, right? I'd get a kebab, I'd go do my Sereno Russo and or your job training or whatever it was for that fortnight, and I had a great day that day. I had to drop off my form, but yeah, I had to borrow money to go down there and get my lunch and whatever, so it wasn't really worth the $2. But that's the opportunities that I talk about, like they just aren't there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So like let us know what was your age when you left your hometown, and also how did your parents react to this?
I think when we talk about parents, we all have those stories of my parents should have done better, my parents should have done this. I was like the youngest child, I think at the same time the youngest grandchild. The expectations of what I was going to do in life, just there weren't any. That I'm not going to say that they weren't the best. They were really absent people. So, and I've kind of lived my life kind of like, oh yeah, I'm doing this today, have a good day. So I remember I kind of was like, I was driving a car illegally back and forth to Caboolture every day. I was working in a bakery at this point, and I was like, I've decided I'm moving to the city. I'm moving in with Meg. Meg's one of my friends. We found this share house. It was the dodgiest thing you could ever imagine. It was 1 bedroom, but we were sharing it and paying like $270 a week down in Sunnybank Hills, and there was like 8 or 9 people there. And at this time when you're like young, I thought I was everything. I was living in Brisbane. I wasn't really. I was at Sunnybank Hills.
Big city.
Yeah, an hour out of the train. But I remember coming home and like, oh yeah, I'm moving, blah, 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 blah. And they were kind of like, oh, what do you want to do with your stuff? I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. Just leave it here. And I literally packed up my little
suitcase?
No, not a suitcase. It was a, what do you put dirty laundry in? Laundry basket? Oh. Yeah, I packed up my little laundry basket. I put my pillows in there. I took down a couple of pictures, just all the stuff I needed, really. Yeah. 2 little bags, and off I trotted. And I remember, like, I got
How old were you?
So I must be about 19 at this point. So I'm not actually young. Like, I'm quite a bit older. Maybe I'm 20.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm turning 21. Yeah, so I am 20.
In your hair, by the way.
Oh, something in my hair.
Yeah.
You don't want to know what we got up to. There's something floating around in the air.
No, there's like some plastic.
That's not plastic. It's probably cum. Oh, it's yours. No, anyway.
It is plastic.
It's not. It is cum. But so we moved down to the city, and I start working for the casino, and I think the rest is history. But having to move out of there at that point was something that I had to do. I think that you can learn everything that you want to learn, and that I still go home today and I make the jokes. There's this one girl that we went to school with who is like a racist, homophobic, the one that I was using before, that C one. I can say it now because I've already said it. And I remember walking in when I was like 19, and she was sitting at the pub on a bar stool in this white fluffy jumper, and just kind of being like, oh, hey. I won't use her name because she really is a dog. But, and then and then I remember going back like 5 or 6 years later, like, because it did take me that long to get back. Like, I just was that, like, this town literally is that homophobic and that horrible. Like, there's nothing there that I wanted to go back, that there was a need to go back. Christmases, scrapped, all those types of things, like, absolutely not. Like, I am absolutely never going back. Like,
what about your family? I mean, do you see them?
I wasn't really tight with them or close with them anyway. So I think there was a good point where I was just kind of like no contact at all, or the Merry Christmas text message. Like, it was a text message, and back in the day where we didn't have phones where you could send pictures, and it was like 25 cents each. Yeah. So, like, I think that while they would have missed me, I didn't miss them. And I've always been really self-reliant on who I was as a person, and always just too good to go back, maybe even a little bit. But I remember going back like 6 years later, and to finish the story, I walked in and seeing this same person that I hated sitting on the exact same bar stool in the exact same jumper. I was like, oh, geez, love, did you get up to pee? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of where it can sometimes be for people that are still there. Like, and that's such a contrast now that when I go home, like, I kind of enjoy that, and I kind of love seeing these people again, and why they haven't traveled and they haven't had all these life experiences. They just are so humble with who they are as a people, and they are a people that will generally help you, and they will generally want to know what you're doing. And now that we're past all this, like, we're in a new world, it's kind of great to go back and be something. Like, do you know what I mean? And, you always wear your good shoes the day that you're going out to the pub, because you want to show off that, oh, look, I still got my teeth. Like, do you know what I mean? So I think having to leave was the best option for me. But that was also part of my story. So that's why I ended up leaving the country, and all the things that were horrible there now. Like, I do miss it, but God, I get the poor kids that are there. Do you know?
But you feel a lot of empathy for them, as far as can judge now, like, from your words and everything. Like, you see the people, like, you look at the people, and you don't ignore them, because, like, you even, like, saw, like, the guy you hate the most. It
was a girl, but that's fine.
Okay, sorry.
People think she's a dude. No, I don't feel anything.
So, like, you, like, this whole awareness of, like, how she looks and everything. So, and also, like, you probably experience a sadness, like, seeing the same person sitting in the same spot. Or do you feel empathy, or is it just like, oh, this bitch,
No. No, I don't. No, it is honestly great. Like, for the whole parts where you can go back and you're like, oh, there's old Lala, and she's going to be gossiping about me tomorrow. Like, at the same time, you know that old Lala's going to come over and be like, oh, what are you doing? What's happening? Just for that gossip. But do I feel empathy for them? No. Like, they may have a better life than me. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, they're probably, they haven't had the life experiences, they haven't got to, like, a majority of them haven't got to travel one of my best friends is still there, and she is a single mom that got herself into a situation, and you know what? She's got herself out of it, and she still lives there, and she's still kicking it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, she's still kicking goals as a person. She's got a degree. She's like, do you know what I mean? So I don't feel sorry for them, because part of me kind of wishes that I could have been there. Part of me wishes that I could have been accepted. When you grow up, maybe not even in the country, but when you grow up not being the normal and being the queer kid, there was this really famous saying or something along those lines, like, you grow up as a version of yourself. You don't grow up as yourself. So the trick is, as adults, you have to unpack what is you and what isn't you anymore, because you will always have to hold on to this. I was never who I was at that point. And growing up, I feel like in the country and growing up queer, and also having these expectations of probably from a rough family that you weren't going to be a lot, that you have to kind of unpack what that means and who you are. And you hold on to stuff that you really probably shouldn't. And I think that now as an adult, when I say, do I feel sorry for them? I don't go back and like, I feel so bad for you. I kind of feel bad for myself when I was learning who I was and having to leave, that maybe I haven't given them the same grace that maybe they didn't give to me, if that makes sense. So I don't feel sorry. They may have better lives than me. A lot of them don't, but whatever.
Screw them. So do you remember like a moment in your life where you said goodbye to this version, when you say like you grow up as a version of yourself? Like, do you remember saying like, oh, this was the point I said, okay, I'm done with this version?
Do you know what? I think it's actually happened October of this year.
Oh.
Yeah, like I feel like now, maybe for the first time in my whole life, and I was actually thinking about this on the way down, because I have nothing better to do with my day.
This is something really good. You came to our show, so thank you for
yeah, all the epiphanies I had in my car. I thought, oh, here we go. No, but I think when you grow up, and this is probably coming back to the same topic and we're on repeat with it, but when you grow up having to be a version of yourself, I have spent my whole life wanting people to know that I'm good and that I'm helpful and that I'll always have your back. Like, I have tried so hard to find that tribe. We call it a tribe. Like, when you get older, you'll find your tribe and whatever. It has taken me so long to realize that maybe instead of trying to demonstrate who this person is out to the universe and everybody else, maybe I'm enough. Like, I don't have to be friends with everybody, but I can be kind. Do you know what I mean? I don't have to have an IOU for everyone. Like, I will generally be the first person who will give a random stranger the shirt off my back and go help them move, and then never get the same in return. And then that would have gotten me down. Like, why am I not enough? Like, I think it's almost kind of been like oh shit, now I'm kind of on my own in this world. Like, I have my kids and they should be my priority, as opposed to doing drag and making everybody else happy. Like, that's a great aspect. And all these people that are my friends that, I don't think that sometimes I get the same return or the same investment, but at the same time, I am getting the same investment, but I don't have to be in everybody's pocket and be everybody's everything. Like, at the same time, I still go home and I still cry in the bath so no one hears me. Like, so I can scream in the bath. No, but I still go, yeah, like scream underwater, no one can hear you. My housemate's often like, there was a lot of bubbling. I was like, yeah, it was me screaming in the bath.
I'm really guessing.
I was crying in the bath. No, but I think now I'm kind of in this really good spot of a journey. Like, I have my work life really sorted. I was out looking at tiny homes yesterday, and maybe that's like a little kicker as to who I am. And then I was like, I don't need to buy one, I'm going to build one. And then everyone's like sitting there like, don't do it. And I was kind of like, you know what? No, this is what I wanted to do. And this is not something that I've thought about today. Like, this has been a good 7-year process. Like, I thought of tiny homes before they were cool. I used to drink ginger beer before it was cool. I've always been bucking end of the trend. Like, everyone's a drag queen now. I seen you last year Halloween, right? Yeah. Oh God, that was scary.
It's the first time in my life that I dressed.
Oh, I'm sure. I came here and I seen you trying to hide the shoes.
But before we lose this, because I want to go back to this when you said you found it this year. I mean, that's extraordinary, and I really want to know what led you there. Like, what helped you to really, find this thought of being enough? Because this is
depression. No.
I mean, that could lead to with therapy and everything. It could lead to.
Do you know what? I did get therapy. I have had therapy now for about 3 or 4 months, and I'm not going to it at the point just because I kind of got to a little bit of I feel like the therapist for the therapist. They would tell me stories and I'm going to be like, oh yeah, just spend an hour talking about them. But it kind of did unpack it. I feel like I've never given myself the opportunities to think I was enough. Mm-hmm. And now I kind of believe that I am. And this is backing because I'm 35. I got into doing drag 3 years ago, then COVID hit. And right before COVID hit, I was going to go down to Melbourne and do a bunch of shows and blah, 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 blah. This to me has been, life-saving. It just has been a lot of fun. I have no regrets about it. It is mentally just as bad as it is fun and exciting. But I think I've never given myself the opportunity, and this year I've had a bunch of really good wins where I was going to pull out 2 weeks before because I just didn't think it was enough, or I was going to win, or do you know what I mean? And then I did it and I won. Okay. And then everything that I've set my mind to, I win.
So when you say you win, you mean as some sort of contest, or you're actually winning in life?
Well, that too. I think it's column A and column B. I have competitions that I've entered in now, and just last year I entered in. I think for a few weeks I was coming top 4th, top 3rd, and then won one. Then the next month won the next one, and then COVID hit and we weren't allowed out. But then I'm going back into competitions now, and I competed in my first pageant, or a pageant is the big contest where you have to do the talking and everything like that. And I don't have a mother. I don't have people that support me do this. This was all done by me, and I won, and then I won Miss Congeniality as well. And I mean, nobody ever wants both. But I think it's because I've given myself permission. If I fail, I don't care anymore. Nice. I think that maybe you're only quite young. Your face is rough, but I think that you get to a point where you just...
I'm exactly the same age like you.
Oh, you're 35?
Yes, I am.
Oh, God, you've had a rough life. But I think that I definitely have got to a place where, I don't care anymore. Even this was a big thing for me when we talked about it, a few months ago. I was like, oh, no, I don't... what am I going to talk about? But I think at the end of the day, it's okay to fail. Mm-hmm. If you don't try, which is what I've spent 35 years doing, because I've had all these preconceived ideas of not being enough and having to give all of who I am and just demonstrate that I'm a good person and that I'm okay, and that, I'm because queer people weren't okay. And also now that I was a dad, and then I was then gay, and then I had a boyfriend, and blah, 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 blah. I think it's just kind of gotten to the point where I'm I don't care anymore. I don't care. And that's the breath of air that you get. Sorry, you go. So I think that that's the situation where I've literally this year, I had my birthday by myself. I went and I did this, what's these things where you go and you float in the water? You mean yeah, float tanks. Yeah. And I was waiting for my epiphany in there, and I was laying in there and I was like, oh, do I have a wank now, or what do I do? What do you do? Anyway, and then I kind of had the epiphany where I was like, no one's coming. Nobody's coming to help you, little girl. No one's helping you swim here except the, condensed crystals. There's quite a lot in there. Burns your eyes. But, no one's coming to save you. If you want to have this life where you are living completely free and all of this stuff, you need to do it. Stop being scared of what it's going to be, because no one's coming for you. If you don't want to swim, you're going to float. If you keep swimming and then you got to float for a bit, that's okay as well. I've always been competitive, but I feel like I've never given myself the opportunities, and the opportunities is what you have to be okay with. Don't say you're going to do it, just do it. Yeah.
Tell our listeners what's the best part of failing?
Oh, there's none. don't get me wrong, like it hurts. Like failing sucks. Failing sucks balls. But I have the theory. I think when I was like 32 or something like that, I'm living by myself. I've had to reset my life. I've got the kids 2-3 days a week. I still have them that. But I remember waking up one birthday and literally being like, he wants me to put the microphone to my mouth and I'm not sure I know how to. But I remember waking up one birthday and cracking a bottle of champagne at like 7:30 in the morning or something like that. Yeah, and just crying, kind of like, how have I let myself get here? But that was like off all these bunch of fails that you have. But at the end of the day, kind of that day I realized to myself, you know where bottom is? Like, how much worse is it going to be? Your house will get burnt down. You'll lose everything you have. You're insured. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you'll just buy new stuff. Like, failing sucks. For everybody listening, it absolutely sucks. But you learnt so much along the way, and you can't be upset with learning something. Sure, you're going to have boyfriends and girlfriends and partners and friends and family that do the wrong thing. That absolutely is how it is. Relationships and lives are about comings and goings of people, and it hurts. But there's always something else there, and as long as you can back yourself, that's all you can do. So it will hurt when you fail. You know where bottom is. Even on your worst day, like sometimes you hear about those people that are like, I had a car accident and I lost my kids. Not that I have, touch wood, but you know, child support would be cheaper. It's humor. They're my world, but sometimes. But like you hear about these people where they have these horrendous lives, and then a few months later they're reliving again. Because if you want to be stuck in whatever that sadness is, stay there. That's it. Like if it is honestly as horrible and bad and the circumstances are there, wouldn't you rather have failed knowing you really friggin' tried than to fail knowing you didn't do anything about it? And that's what it is. And there will be circumstances that you can't control. You can't control getting fired. Well, you can. You could work a bit harder. But do you know what I mean? Like you can't.
Well, but there's sometimes circumstances that you can work as hard as you want and they still fire you. So yeah, there's circumstances where you can be the most loving, most caring person in the world, and you find out that your partner's been sleeping with your friend, your best friend. Like there are circumstances where you have a car accident and you become paraplegic or whatever the situation is, but you can honestly sit in that sorrow and it will hurt forever, or you can make the option to say, shit, this is what it is now. I need to decide what I'm going to do. And that's what I think failure needs to be. Like you need to give it your go. Like don't give up on yourself. It's going to hurt, but do not give up on yourself. Nice. That's a very nice motivational speech. And
I know, right? I feel like I'm Oprah. You get a car, you get a car, you get a car. You go, girl boss. That's what I'd say to her.
I was also very interested in like the whole story. Like, I mean, there's many more questions I have. Let's start from...
I've got all night. Okay. There's a bottle of rosé in there. So we got, oh God, this is just cracking the egg.
Shall we open the bottle now?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I'll just sit here and talk and or sing. Oh, he's just run across the room. I just want to describe what's happened here today. So, Ben, incredibly good looking young man, but he's like 4'2" on a good day. I think that's how tall you are, right? Anyway, he said yes, probably. That's giving him credit. But, you know, we're just sitting here on the coast, chatting away about this. Crack the roast. Oh, geez, it's even a good one.
Yeah, I bought like the Crafters Union for you. I thought you probably enjoy like
something nice, yeah. I've never had alcohol. That's not true. There has been so many nights where I wake up. Also, if you don't want to fail at life, maybe also don't go out Friday and Saturday. Oh, never back it up. That's the worst, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to fail in life, but then sometimes you sit there and you're like, oh, why am I failing in life? Oh, probably because you went out and spent $400 last night on booze, and you're a bit dog shit today. Like that's sometimes a good place to start. Oh, rosé too. Oh, cheers anyway.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers to the podcast.
Thanks for coming over. Thank you very much.
Oh, God, this is probably going to make you famous.
You're here with unpopular people, not with popular people.
Yeah, I was almost offended at the name when you said, "Oh, could you come to our podcast, Unpopular People?" I said, "Who, me? What? I don't think so."
So, my question was actually, before I got the bottle here, I was wondering, when was the first time you dressed up as a woman?
Do you know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry, keep going.
No, that was the question.
It is quite a really, really odd story. I remember as a kid being like, I don't know, like for as long as I can remember, always being that sassy gay kid that's running around in a curtain. Like I'd make a curtain dress and I'd like jump in the pool and pretend I was a mermaid. Okay. Like I always remember that. And then I always remember like as a kid, I remember sitting in a Chinese plum tree. I know, camp. But, and then I remember like praying to God or whatever. Like, dear God, please let me wake up tomorrow and be a girl. Like, I remember like that so clearly. It was like this big red ball gown. It's probably why I love a ball gown now. But I remember thinking to myself, dear God, please, tomorrow I need to wake up and be a girl. And then waking up and not being one and not believing in God anymore. But, damn you, God, damn you now. But... so then there was a really, yeah, I know, just flicking my arm around. I got these like really big sleeves on and I'm flicking around like a sea witch, right? But over all this computer tech stuff. Yeah, I remember that. And then I remember going through a really big phase where just it wasn't a thing. Like I just... as a teenager, I didn't know who I was. Even as an adult, I didn't really know who I was. Like, drag was so far from anything that I would do, apart from those 3 or 4 times that I did do it. Every costume party. Do you know what I mean? Like, every costume party. I'm
Every costume party. Halloween.
Yeah, it wasn't even that. I remember, like, Halloween wasn't a thing in the country. So I remember just one night we were like, oh, we're going to go trick-or-treating, but this is, like, June.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so I went down the op shop and I brought, like, this grandma outfit, like a 2-piece from the Golden Girls, and I turned the skirt into, like, a mini skirt and a halter top. And Meg had given me a wig from the Eka or something like that, and I literally thought I was Lucy Liu, you know, from Charlie's Angels, because that was popular at the time. And I was like, oh God, cannot clock that. Anyway, so I had done that, but yeah, I'd never ever been like, oh, I want to put on a dress and feel my woman self. Like, it just wasn't something. And then I watched season 7 of Drag Race, and I thought, oh yeah, drag, that looks easy. That looks mentally like a good thing to do. It's not, but yeah, from that point I was like, yeah, I can do that, it's easy. And there was so me and my partner, I was like, we're gonna do drag for my birthday, kind of like all those parties that we go to, and it's so easy. And I went with my real brows and oh, you couldn't tell me shit. I remember we were getting ready and it was like 7 o'clock and I was like, hurry up, we got to get to the pub. He's like, drag queens don't go to the pub till really late at night. I'm like, they do. They have to do shows. So we got there at 7:30 and we were literally the hottest drag queens there, but it's because none were there until 10. And then do you know when you literally are like a solid 10 and you feel like a 2? Not me that night, because I thought I was everything. And I think it was from that point that I was kind of like, this is what I want. And a lot of people, they have a thing that they refer to as a drag mother, which is somebody that helps them get into drag and packs it all down. Not me. And I'm really proud that I have that, because I kind of feel like I pulled myself out of the swamp. And why this today isn't the best, but oh God, it's come a long way. And after seeing all my friends do drag for the first time the other night, I kind of thought, oh God, it's so hard to be beautiful compared to them. But I think like, that's what it was. And with drag as well, while I was doing drag at home and telling everyone I was a drag queen and yada, 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 it was a solid year before I got on the stage. One whole solid year. And that was generally I can't do it. Like, I was so afraid to do it. And then I got a little show. It was for like baby drag queens where we had to perform numbers and la la la. So I got it and I did a. Do you remember Karen Walker from Will and Grace? Oh, you won't because you're German. Yeah.
I don't remember. Again, I heard the show before, but I don't
yeah, I was going to make reference to a famous German show, but I realised there weren't any.
Now I spilled my drink.
Yeah, all
so
over himself. Rips his shirt off. But you can if you want, just saying. But I remember like...
my thumb, so I can't rip my thumb off.
Yeah. Well, you could. You're just being weak. Okay. So I did Karen Walker from Will and Grace, which was like a monologue of all her famous sayings. And I remember spending the 2-3 days before thinking, I'm going to die.
From nervousness?
Like an absolute impending doom. I am going to fucking die. And... you know, when you jump in the chat box like, oh, I'm not sure I'll be able to make it. I'm not feeling well. Oh, I've hurt my foot, where I hadn't. And then I put my makeup on and I'd rush home from work, and it was starting at 7 and drag queens were actually there at 7. So it was like 2 hours and this isn't natural. And I look like dog shit again. And so I put the makeup on. I looked like dog shit. But I went... and it was okay, and then I got blind drunk. Like,
oh god, that's never a good option.
No, it wasn't that bad. I mean, sometimes it's the best way that I'm going to be funny after this. No,
that's one class. This is the size of the class. So
yeah. And I remember getting blind drunk, and I'm like 3rd or 4th, and they had like these stairs that were right next to the toilet, so you know you're sitting there just waffing in everyone's shit that had just walked out and coke because it's the valley, and being on these stairs and thinking, okay, I'm gonna die. And as each person went, that feeling got worse and worse, and then all of a sudden they call your name and the music starts and you go out and you do your 3-minute number, and it was done. Like, it felt like 34 seconds.
So maybe you have to elaborate a little bit more for our listeners that are not familiar with drag shows. Like, how do you get into this? Do you have to sign up? And also describe a bit like what drag actually means, like what it is. Okay,
so I guess drag is actually an art form, and that's what I'm going to say because it's... Oh, I've just got my fucking bangle stuck in my belt, but that's okay. So what drag is, it's an art form, and that's what I'm going to say. So a lot of people will imagine that it's where you dress up as a woman and then you lip sync. That's not what it is. Some people will do performance art. Some people will get like a grinder and like grind their vaginas with like metal and sparks will fly out. Like, some people are men, some people are women. Women do drag. Like, so it's essentially an art form, generally where you will dress up as a woman or a character. I'm going to say a character or a persona, and that persona will, I guess, generally do a performance for an audience. So it has really extended from what it was. What it used to be was men dressing up as women, and then came from Shakespeare times where I think it's supposed to be like dress roughly as a girl. Like, that's where the word drags come from, because men were dressing up as women, and that was the role. But it's essentially changed a whole lot now. So you go on, I'll have done lip syncs. You lip sync, you learn the lines, you do a little dance. For me,
is it necessarily always funny, or is it sometimes, can it be like...
Oh no, there's like people that are doing like... You can express whatever you want because it's art. So one of the best performances that I've ever seen was of a drag queen doing Kesha's Praying, which is about... them kind of expressing their traumatizing rape experience.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then they kind of like stripped themselves naked. They were like stunning in a ball gown, stripped themselves down to like just underwear and have all these words written on them. Like, it was just kind of the thing where you watch and like everyone cried because it was honestly, it's art. So that's what it was. That's what drag is. But I essentially have tried to do the serious stuff, and unfortunately I don't think my persona or my person relates well, because people have to understand who you are as your persona is, and unfortunately I'm fat, so I always just have to be funny, and I'm also funny. But I'm also at a really good point.
Because fat people have to be funny.
Yeah, they do. They're like, oh no, everyone's perfect, we live in a rainbow, but fat people are funny or otherwise they're not relevant. That's the options. But so I think now I'm kind of as well with that, giving myself like, I don't want to lip sync anymore. I don't want to stand up and it's not going to mean anything to you now, but you play a song and I sit there and move my mouth to words, it's not killing it. So I literally am just going to do stand up for a bit, like go do all the comedy gigs and tell jokes about where my penis is. And I love a heckle. Like, I love a heckler. Like, if you ever get a chance to come see me, do a stand-up gig, try and heckle me. Try me. I dare ya. Come at me. Like, do you know what I mean? I will rip you apart. Like, that's what I kind of think. So,
you're very eloquent with like the pace of your words coming out, like the reactions to certain things. I remember the first time I met you at the Halloween party last year, where was my first time I dressed up as drag as well, because it was the theme of the party.
Is that what it was?
It was the first time.
Is that what you were wearing?
I wouldn't, but it was an interesting experience, and like being confronted by you for the first time in my life, it was really difficult to catch up. And I know exactly what you mean. Like, you take someone apart if they come.
Yeah, like I'm kind of like, I love to throw shade where you're kind of like, oh, you're so pretty, but also so ugly. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't want to. Like, I love to do that old double-handed, like, oh, have a little burn, but oh, take another one. Like, do you know what I mean? So I really do enjoy that, and I think that's kind of where I am now as a person. This isn't who I think I am. This is not. Do you know what? For a while there, it did help me try and work out, am I a boy? Am I a girl? Like, it's definitely helped with all those sort of thoughts and feelings and trying to get comfortable. It's not something that I'm ever going to be like, oh, I regret this. And do you see those girls that are still out there at 60 trying to compete against like 20-year-olds that are doing death drops and splits and stuff like that. It's not who I am. You also see those old girls that go out and they're like doing just really racist material that the audiences don't find funny anymore. I don't want to be like that, neglectful to culture. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think that this will be forever. So I kind of want to, at this point, just take it for what it is. I don't care if it ends tomorrow. I don't care if it ends in 4 or 5 years and it ended with me being incredibly successful or whatever it was, or it became my full-time job, because it's good money. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, oh, beg my pardon. Bleep that out. No.
If I bleep the burp out.
Yeah. But I really don't care if it ends here. I don't care if it ends with it being my full-time job where, I'm making money off it all the time. Like, I just don't care. Like, it's...
Do you think you don't care because you have those security things, and also because you have 2 kids already in your life, that it gives you some sort of like meaning and or something, or does it come from there?
No, absolutely not, because my kids know I am not somebody that hides anything from them. I just don't think it's healthy to be kind of like, well, I do hide stuff from them. Like, I wouldn't say, oh, Afghanistan at the moment is doing really well, but we've done backpacks for the Afghan kids this week, and we've done like a bunch of stuff. But me doing drag, I think, would be detrimental to them to not tell them. So I'm kind of at a point, actually, I am at a point where they know that I do it. I sew everything that I wear. Let's see which costume. I sew everything that I wear because, you can't walk into Target and pick it up. But they've never seen me do drag.
Okay.
Like, it is something that over the next little bit I have to, and next year it has to happen, because...
How old are they now?
10 and 6. Mm-hmm. My boy, who's physically harder to keep alive, boys are, don't know why, and my daughter, who is 10. So I think that they have to see it. They have to come watch a show, and I think that they are probably the people that are always in my corner. Like, if I was to say something like, oh, you know what, like I told them I was going to do this podcast, and they were clapping me on like nice. I had hit the big time. I mean, we will now, but you know what I mean?
Not so unpopular anymore.
Just popular people. But they clapped me on for everything. When I had my wins, I showed them the videos and stuff, and they're like, why can't we come? And I'm like, because I don't want to fail you. But in all honesty, I think that they will need to see it. I have a gig coming up in the next few weeks where we're going home. We're going to Kilcoy.
Okay.
We're going to be doing drag in Kilcoy. And I'm kind of like, that's probably a good spot where, my parents who... they sent me a message one day like, are you a cross-dresser now? I'm like, that's not a word we use anymore via text message.
Yeah. What does it mean?
Like, a cross-dresser is like a man that dresses like a woman for sexual pleasure. So a cross-dresser I think Germans invented cross-dressing for sexual pleasure. They did most of that weird shit.
They are like weird people in general. So.
Yeah. So a cross-dresser is Generally, I don't know. I don't want to kink shame or fetish or get this wrong. So don't hold me to it. I make mistakes, believe it or not. But it's a man that will like dress in women's underwear and stuff like that for sexual pleasure, where drag isn't. No, well, sometimes it is, but I mean, it has been for me. But they'll generally just do it as a sexual thing. Like they might have a wig on, but they just look like blokes in lingerie having sex with men in toilets. Like that's kind of what cross-dressing is. So they were like, are you a cross-dresser? Or are you a tranny? I think that was the word that they said. And that's like a horrible triggering word. Like it's just not a word that you say anymore. I kind of like hit back like, you can't use that word. Like, I don't care you're from the country. You know it's not a good word. She's like, well, I don't know what to call it then. I was like, yeah, kills. I was like, yeah, whatever, redneck. She's like, anyway, but...
yeah, we understand.
Yeah, so I would love to take them home. In all honesty as well, I have gone home and done drag before, and it was so incredibly uplifting. Oh, wait, I wasn't going to say her name. Bleep that out. Anyway, that girl was still there in the pub with her fluffy jacket on, and she was there, and I pretended that I was her.
Oh, really?
So I was like in drag running around the pub, and I was like, oh God, off topic. But everyone's like, what's your name? And I was like, oh, it's blah. But everyone's like, oh, you're so much nicer than her. And that was hilarious. I did karaoke, and it was so great because I went in and I was kind of like, I've been home, I've done drag, like I was so scared. Like that was another time I was really scared, like going home, going to the pub and being like, I'm going to get fucking bashed. Because I've been threatened to be bashed there before for being gay. Like now I'm going to go in a dress and all this. Like I know I look prettier than most of the girls in that town, but like I was like, I'm going to get bashed. And I was like, what am I going to fucking do? And my friends are there and they're like, you're going to be fine, you're with us. And I was like, I've been with you at that pub and threatened to be bashed. Like, don't tell me that. Anyway. Another time I was going to pull out, but I didn't. That's also why I got 2 kids. I was going to pull out, but I didn't.
Okay.
That's like a sex joke. But anyway, so...
I come to this a little bit later.
It's a question that's in my mind. Wasted a joke there. But so I was kind of like, oh my God, it's so scared. But I was kind of like, do you know what I'm going to be when I go to this pub tonight? In a pub where you have threatened to be bashed for being queer. And like where it's gotten really scary where you have to kind of leave out the back door because, you know, you threatened that you're going to be bashed. I'm going to be the biggest person in this room. I nearly said fucking. I'm going to be the biggest fucking person in this room today. And you know what? If anyone tries, they're going to have to fight this whole pub before they even try on me. And I walked in and everyone kind of looks like, and someone picked up a chair, like a bar stool, and physically like lifted it up to me. And I was like, no, you don't. So I went straight over there and I was like, oh, you offered me a seat. And like, do you know, like just caught them off guard, which then kind of like caught the pub off guard, which then kind of like just led to it me getting blind, tequila shots, and didn't have to buy a drink all night. Like, so I think it's so ready. And that's probably one of the best things about my hometown is that I think from that point it was okay. Mm-hmm. Like I think from that point that I went back.
Gave you confidence as well.
Yeah, and they realised that we're not cross-dressers. We're just literally there to entertain. So we're going to go do trivia and whatever, and I think that's February, but don't hold me to it because really good with dates.
This is what your manager does for you then.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Very, very interesting story. But I'm very curious now about your kids because you told me that you were already gay when you lived back in, I can't pronounce the name of
Kilcoy.
Kilcoy.
Yeah. Kilcoy.
Kilcoy is like Kill
Bill.
Kill Bill was Kilcoy.
It's like kill and coy.
Okay, Kilcoy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the German that can't say something simple.
I'm sorry about my accent. Just means I speak one more language than you.
I can speak German.
Oh, yeah. Go for it.
No. I've seen the Muppet from the Chef. He's German, right?
Which one?
Skurde Dole. Do you know that Muppet? No, it's probably something else you didn't have in Germany.
All right, but I'm really
I'm moving along.
So you said you were gay in Kilcoy, mm-hmm. And so how do you get your kids? Like, I mean, you understand like the question because like did you adopt them? Did you find like a donator or like a woman how did it work?
Well, I'll run you through how babies are born.
I understand how babies are born.
Well, I don't know what they
maybe
do.
I think, but run me through it, okay?
I've seen the type of porn that Germans make. To be honest, when I talk about sexuality, I have said gay. I probably don't sit on that fringe. I probably also don't sit on bisexual. I wasn't in a relationship, like a really loving, when we talk about relationships as well, I've only ever been in loving relationships, but probably also not knowing myself, I've never been the loving person with any person in the relationships that I've been in. I've had 4. I was never in love, but I was always loved, if that makes sense. So yeah, it was done all completely natural. I was going to go to Canada and I got someone pregnant and then I was like, oh shit, we better get married. But at that whole time, I wasn't like, oh, you know what? I was out having sex with anybody. Like, that was who I was at that point in life, if that makes sense. Like, I was happy to be, like, they had such, coming from a family that was so dysfunctional, like they were just such a functional, beautiful family. Like, still to this day, they are absolutely wonderful to me. Like, every single part of it's like when you walk into a cookie cutter home of what you would expect. Like, I remember they paid for me to go to school. Any point they could help out, they definitely would. And like, that's what I always expected parents to be. But, so I was definitely married and I had kids, and the first kid, I gave up my trip to Canada and then we got married, I think within like 3 weeks. Like, it literally was like a turnaround of that long. And,
so your wife or ex-wife is from Canada? So
No. I was leaving. Like, I was leaving them to go to Canada.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I was kind of like sent the message like, oh, hey, I'm going to Canada within the next couple of weeks, how I treat my whole life. Hope you do well. But at that point, we had gone out to Retros, which was also, I think, like a club called Calabar, like 3 months before. And my daughter had other options or other plans for me at that point. So I need a wine. So we definitely had my daughter, and then my kind of life was, I wanted to be a farmer and I wanted to have like a small town, like a small home then, and whatever the situation was. And that's kind of who I was at that point. Now with my son, I must say I was kind of out of that relationship. So he comes along 4 years later and I'm kind of in a mindset of, yeah, not even it was a sexuality thing. Like, I think we just hated it. Like, do you know when you're housemates? Yeah, but you know when you're in a relationship, but it feels like you're housemates with somebody.
Oh, okay,
yeah. And I feel like our son was definitely kind of like, I actually remember the conversation like, oh, we'll try once. If it doesn't work, then that's it. Like, no more. And then, 9 months later, he comes out and it was definitely, unfortunately, I think, over at that point. Like, we were just holding on to whatever we could. And, well, I definitely was.
So wait, like there's like 2 different women?
No, same.
The same woman for both kids, okay. Mm-hmm.
My kids actually look like Hitler Youth, like perfect blonde hair, blue eyes. Like, they literally... completely blonde hair, blue eyed kids. But yeah, I think then having to leave that relationship, and then it was like only a few months before my birthday, to be honest, maybe like 5 months or something, and that's when I was like drinking the bottle and crying, like, how do you go from this failure? And it was kind of like, well, I think that's kind of when I was like, this isn't about you anymore. I now have 2 kids, and that's the consequences of decisions that I've made. But are they consequences? Like, they literally are the reason why I wake up every day. Like, they literally are the reason that I keep my super in check and I keep everything in line, because I want, and I definitely have given them something that I wasn't given. They will cheer me on my worst days and sit with me in the bad times. Like, right before I left my last partner, I remember like that was another situation where we were kind of just housemates. Not that I'm sure he was aware, but as all my partners are. But I remember I was trying to move the house around and whatever, and I was trying to move a bed by myself and being like, I'm so over it. And then they both just kind of walked in and helped me pick it up and moved it. Like, do you know what I mean? I was kind of like, that was one of those moments in life where I was like, they are my people. Like, they are my tribe. I didn't find them, I made them, but, and every time I look at them, yeah, I know. And they literally have, my son, like I say, is physically hard to keep alive. Like, the day I walked out and he was trying to hit the power lines with a fishing rod. Like, he's physically hard to keep alive, but they have my back. Like they're going to get challenging, but hopefully not. But I can't really think of a bad day that I've had with them. A day where I'm kind of like, oh, actually I did homeschooling. So
do you think it helps that you get along with their mom?
Do you know what? I think that as well. And I think that we have it's not even ever that we've written it, but we definitely have a rule where I will never, ever badmouth her. Mm-hmm. There's days where I'm just so pissed off. She does have her own issues and her own lives and whatever, but I remember having them being the first time that I could give them Panadol and like having complete control over them and being able to have a say. And I kind of think to myself now, like they are the tribe that I need, and their mother is so good. And even today, like we were learning to use our knives and forks because my 10-year-old thinks that her fingers are still appropriate. And she said to me, Mum won't make me do it. I was like, okay, well, let's call her. And I called her up and she's like, oh, is that what your dad wants? Because guess what we're doing now? And, it's just being on that same page. Our son was a real asshole a little while ago. He won an award for really good behavior and, we cheered him on and whatever. And then 2 days later, he won another award for good behavior, and he got something special from the prize box. The next day, it turns out that he'd stolen it from the prize box and then had lied to us that he'd got it for good behavior. And so, we got together as a family and sat down, and both of us just kind of cut him down to size. Me 1 punch, 2 punch, and try and build him up. But I think that that's what you have to do. Those kids didn't have the decision on being born.
Yeah. Okay.
But we did. And as adults, they have to be the priority of who you want to be. And if they're not your priority, it's not their fault to try and sort themselves out. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's kind of where we've both gone with the same thing. And if you're in a situation where, and I say this because I am really lucky, because I know dads that are forced complete stop. They want to see their kids and they can't. And if you're in a situation, sometimes you just have to take a breath and be the bigger person and swallow it in and just think to yourself, okay, this is where it is today. Let's just try and work this out together. And that's what you have to do with kids.
Wow, yeah, that's really great. That you find a way that works for you guys. And I think there's a lot to learn for other people too, that are listening to this, especially. I mean, if sometimes parents split up or sometimes they don't get along with each other, but as long as they don't talk bad about their kids, about each other in front of their kids, and I
think as well, just if you do have kids and then the kids say something to you, unless it's horrendously bad, try not to get too involved with it because you don't know the circumstances. There's some days when I'm at home and I'm kind of oh, you guys are giving me, I homeschooled them over COVID for 3 months. Oh, all the well to the teachers. I wanted to go old school and bring back the cane, the stick to hit them. But, you don't know the circumstances, that they were getting in trouble. But you really just have to support the other parent and say kind of all right, if you are struggling, even have a, what can I do?
Yeah.
But that's what I was going to say. So you can treat... You have to do better for your kids. That's all that you can do within this world. Whatever you got, if you got a good hand, and I don't know about you, you're German, so probably, but you have to still give, if you do have kids, a better circumstance than you had.
Yeah.
That's all that you can do.
So is there, did you face something like a rejection from outside? So people treating you differently because you were split up with your partner, or maybe because they found out that you do drag shows, or that you're gay, or that you, but that you have, not that you're gay, but that you probably have a relationship with men as well as with women. And did you feel anything like this from other people, especially in combination with your kids? And how do you handle it?
To be honest, when you say how do I handle it, I hate other parents. I hate them with a passion. I hate going to the school and they're other parents will walk up to you and think that that's an invitation to talk to you. And when I'm not in this, I hate you. Do you know what I mean? And they walk up and they're oh my God, is that your little one? You're oh, you just busted my pedophile ring. Do you know what I mean? Of course it's my kid. I'm not just walking off with another kid. And if I was walking off with another kid, don't go, oh, is this your kid? Because I'm not going to say, oh, it's not really. No. So I hate other parents. When I go to the schools, I'm not like, oh, who wants to be part of the TNC? Because I'm kind of like, not fucking me. But that's really funny. We live next to like an apartment of like 4, and they've got like I'm not going to guess their race, but they are definitely Muslims. I know that because like we've had conversations, but they are definitely Muslims. So I remember my daughter came over one day and she's like, here, I want to say the kid's name, bleep that one too, but the kid said, oh, you don't understand what it's like because you have 2 dads. And I was kind of like, well, you don't have 2 dads. I'm the dad because I never want my kids to have another dad because I'm just like that. But she's like, it's all right. And then I remember her grabbing me by the hand and she's like, he just doesn't understand. And it's kind of like, while I was really quite defensive about that situation of another kid even threatening my kids or my kids' popularity or whatever it was, that they don't understand. So I don't care. I think that my greatest fear also kind of in this world would be, will my kids suffer that burden because of no control of what they had? Like, I remember growing up in Kilcoy again, and somebody's dad had a mental illness, and it was quite obvious that he had a mental illness. It wasn't, you know, those secret ones like depression or whatever. And I remember he had tried to commit suicide, and, you know, triggering for people that don't always get help, but just the gossip and stuff that was around that, and those kids were kind of labelled like, I remember one kid running up to that kid even in primary school and being like, your dad tried to kill himself. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so I kind of fear that my kids will maybe have that burden of, I got makeup on it, but never mind. That's the mic, by the way, not a penis. But
why would you have a penis before you're talking?
Well, what are you doing? Why did you take your clothes off? No, he hasn't. It's a joke. But
but not
yeah,
really, but
yeah, not really, but yeah. So I kind of do fear that they will have to maybe experience that, but at the same time, my kid does jujitsu. No, I think my daughter wants to push it. Like, my daughter pushes the agenda, where sometimes I'm kind of like, oh, pull it back in. But my daughter's like, no, my dad is fabulous. I won't be one day. I know that, because all teenagers become horrible and they all smell. Oh, that's something as well. Like, kids stink, but you can bath them and they just stink. But, and I don't know what I'm so scared of and why I've given myself this fear for so long, because they're also really resilient. Like, they don't care. Like, they clap me on and whatever. So to answer the question, I hate other parents. But I would feel horrible if, all being my partner, my kids ever got bullied or whatever the situation was because of something that I did. And I don't want to be that dad that causes their kids grief. Like, I don't want to be, oh, your dad tried to kill himself. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, your dad's a drag queen.
But I think there's a lot of different influences in a child's life. Like, parents, I think, usually have the opinion that they are the main influence of a child's life, but I don't think that's true. I think there's many things that play a big part. You know, like, there could be so many things happening in your children's life, and the best thing you can do is just to look after them and take care of them, and that's what you do. So you're doing a great job with this.
I did also, we sometimes practice in the car rebuts.
What's a rebut?
Kind of like, what's a rebut with you? No, kind of where I'll be like, oh, like, we practice like how to throw shade and then cut somebody down with a comment. Like, oh, someone said I'm ugly. Yeah, you know, like, I kind of want them to have that double jab.
But this really helps, like, it's like the confidence you build up as well. You know, when you walked over to the guy with the stool, that's and you know, like, this is the confidence you have to build up, like, this quick reaction in certain situations. And if this is something you can pass on to your kids, that's fantastic. I mean, yeah.
I think as well, sometimes I just want them as well to be funny. But they're actually pretty good. So I'm kind of like, no matter what it is, if you are picked on something, you can't let it break you. Like, you can't let it show, especially in school. Don't show nothing. Give them nothing.
I want to come back to you said earlier there was a person with a mental health disorder in your hometown.
Mm-hmm.
And like talking about mental health disorder, maybe you can let the audience know what is your name when you are a drag queen.
Oh, here we go. Get the can of worms open. So my name is Bipaula. So Bipaula was a play on words of bipolar. I have been called that. So it actually has a horrible backstory, and I've reclaimed it, and that's exactly what I wanted to do.
You need to spell bipolar as well for the people.
Yeah, so yeah, you can look me up on Instagram, Facebook. So Bipolar is B-I, as in the sexuality, and then Paula, P-A-U-L. I was like, A? I've had a wine. No. So Bipaula. So I essentially have an auntie called Paula. And I remember one day my mum was in this really, really good mood where she had gone in the fridge and I'd eaten all the chicken or something along those lines. Anyway, we're having a fight and she's really good at being toxic and really being able to attack me. And I remember her one day saying something like, "Do you know what your issue is?" And I was like, "What?" She's like, "You're like Auntie Paula." And I was like, what the hell has Auntie Paula got to do with whatever, this conversation? She's like, "I didn't say Auntie Paula. I said bipolar. But she spat the word out bipolar. Like, she said my drag name and then corrected it by saying the mental illness. And I also remember being like 17 and I looked her straight in the eyes and I said, "Well, I'm glad to see mental illness runs in the family," as I slammed the door and walked in my room. And then I can't remember what it was, but I was kind of looking for a drag name for a long time and I wanted to be Melita Everything. So Melita is a girl's name, everything, like eats everything. Melita is, or Melita Ass or something like that. And then I don't know what it was, but I was like, oh, wait, I know what I wanted to be. So it was kind of like recapturing kind of my own mental health and recapturing that one moment in life where I was kind of like, you know what? Maybe I'll take that little bit of tragedy and make that into a kind of positive. And I still think it's the greatest name out there. I heard a better one the other day, my friend, and it's already copyrighted. They've already got it all on Instagram. Was Eden Everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was like, I wish I'd had that one. But that's where the name came from. That's kind of where it sticks in. I'm kind of glad that I've taken it. It's a great name. I think if I wasn't bipolar, again, probably be like Big Jan or Tall Jan. Oh wait, that's one already.
And do you have like manic phases when you're on stage and then other manic phases when you're not on stage?
That's how I live my life, ups and downs.
Nice.
But drag literally is kind of a drug.
Mm-hmm.
Like just looking at you, you're 4'2", yeah? You probably know what it's like.
We measure it in centimeters. So like
I measure in inches, 6, 8, and 10. But I don't know if you have ever grown up unpopular. Sometimes being a drag queen is like walking away from a situation where you were the most popular person in that room at that night in the group that you're in. And you know what? It's very proven. I could walk up to anybody dressed as me, drunk in a nightclub, and throw that comedy and that shade and that read that I have of what somebody looks like, or somebody's telling me a story and I'm like, what? Sorry, I was bored. I could do that as me as a male, and it just gets me in so much trouble because I am me. I slap a wig on, some eyelashes, and I can say whatever the fuck I want to any single person in the whole wide world, and they will laugh. Like the same comment, people will laugh at. So you ride this incredible high of how popular you are and how everybody held your attention and you're the most popular person in a room, and you come off stage and, you know, you're having these wins and everybody's cheering you on like you're such a great person and whatever, and you're so funny and la 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 la. And then you go home and you wash it off and you're back to your fucking big old lonely house with nobody. And it literally is for like a few days this huge high, and then an instant, oh fuck, like I'm no one.
It's back to like normal, yeah. It's like a holiday. So you go back into your old miserable life.
Yeah, like I remember once when I was younger, I went on a boat cruise.
Mm-hmm.
My parents didn't pay for that. Like, it was the type of thing where somebody called me up and they're like, hey, do you want to come on a boat cruise? And I said no, because my parents won't pay for that. And then I told my parents, like, nah, it's free. You should go. That's the only time I got to go. But I remember going on that boat cruise and coming back. And I think that's where I did learn confidence, because I was really unconfident before then. But I got on a boat cruise, and you can be whoever you want to be on that boat. I was popular. That's who I was.
Well, it's the Unpopular People podcast, so goodbye.
Yeah. Thank you. Shuts the laptop and puts back on your clothes. But yeah, so I decided on this boat cruise because literally I remember my friend's mum saying, like, they're great people, but you can be whoever you want to be. I say I'm a doctor. And I remember going on there like, I'm going to be popular because I've never been popular. And this is at like 17, because, well, now I am. But I remember kind of being like, going on that cruise, and I was really popular. And I think that's kind of when we talk about ups and downs of drag, is my worst time in drag was not that time that I went back to the pub and, was afraid I was going to be bashed. That was not the worst time of my life. The worst time in my life is when you're at home and you're putting on your makeup and you're by yourself and you're with your own thoughts, and drag is literally trying to be the most popular kid in the best school, in the best suburb of the best country. The likelihood is you're not going to be. So I think it is sometimes when you're at home by yourself, you're in the mirror, you're like, my kid's going to pay for me doing this. And I get invited to parties as Bipaula, but never as myself. Or I go as myself. They're kind of like, oh, we thought Bipaula was coming. I'm like, we're the same person. And I think like sometimes you ride that such huge high of everyone loves you, but they don't love you. They love the persona of you.
Did you learn this like in the last few months with like you told us for earlier that you go through therapy and do like different things, and you had like awareness of your situation, and you did you learn this in the last few months, like this what you just explained to us?
I think what I've learned in the last I think it's always been apparent, because drag queens can be really horrible people. Like, I love the fact that like, oh, it's all fun and laughing. It's not. Like, if you want to try and get a gig, or just remember as well, there's like 5 spots, and after RuPaul's Drag Race and everything like that, 200 people. It's like having a regular spot is what people die for. Today you're great, tomorrow you're nothing. You can be like, literally, I watch cancel culture every single day on my Facebook and Instagram, which is why I don't want to be part of their fringe. I don't want to be part of it. I love to stand kind of on the outside and do my own thing now, which is kind of it. Over the last few months, it hasn't taught me that, doing therapy. Over the last few months, I've learnt that I don't care. Like me, hate me, whatever. I'll go to a party of 30 people and every single one will love me. Like, do you know what I mean? I will go and do a hen's party and every single one will love me. I don't need that, but at the same time, you kind of do. Like when you post a picture and you get like 30 likes, but then you see somebody else get 400 and you're like, well, why? Like, the drag community, while you would love to be loved, at the same time, it's hard when you're not.
Yeah, but that's the therapy also shows you that it's not about the likes on the pictures.
I think also giving up Facebook is probably a good spot as to how I got into my own good mental health, that I could go and kill. You have to be part of Facebook, but at the same time, it's best that you're not. Yeah. But you have to be part of it.
You don't have to be. There's other ways around.
Well, you don't get to go to parties. You don't get to post pictures. Unfortunately, this is an entertainment role.
Yeah, in the entertainment industry.
Yeah. Maybe for a job where I work with transport, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't have to see my work friends. I love my work friends, but we have WhatsApp. Like, do you know what I mean? I have Facebook Messenger, but I don't have to sit there and scroll through endlessly at 2-3 in the morning people's Facebooks to hate myself. Okay. It's not even the last few months. I have felt this down probably since I started, like these ups and downs with drag, but I think now I don't care about it. And this is the best spot to be, because I have a regular gig now all the time. We're going to go on the road. We're going to do a bunch of really good things. And these people have only ever expected me to turn up and be nice, and that's who I am. Like, to go out and talk to the crowd, that's who I am. Like, so I have my spot now. I have my spot that I'm so happy with monthly that I generally would do for free because I love the people that I do drag with now. They are my little drag family. Not my mothers, my sisters. But, and if that was to fall apart, I'd be okay with that. Like, they're great people, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to give everything to them. I'm not going to give everything to this. And, there was actually a good period of my life where this was everything. Like, I was spending more time in this, even just at home by myself. Over COVID, I was like, oh, get painted, take a picture, have sex with a straight guy. Oh, you have no idea how many, like, you put on a wig and men are disgusting. They literally are the worst. But, yeah, once I broke up with my ex, I was like, I think I should have taken the door off the hinges. Like, don't get me wrong. And my mum was like, oh, you're training now. But I was like, no. Turns out it was. I had a bad phrase there, but I got it out of my system and this isn't everything anymore. So, yeah, the ups and downs.
So you said that you are you feel popular when you are bipolar and you walk into a room and everybody knows you because you are bipolar. So what would you do differently if you become popular as Dustin and everyone knows you all around the world? What would you like do anything different than you would do now? Or?
I have no concerns about that ever being a real situation. I know. Like I said, I'm kind of in a really good spot now where I don't care about who my friends are. I have really great friends who are my friends, who are my support people. But I know I, as a guy, will never have that same impact. Like, I sit in such a weird position as well as a guy because I had quite a big beard today and I'm in really quite... desirable in the bear world. So bear are kind of like chubbier, hairier, stockier, really masculine men. So I kind of have to phase myself, and I have an outfit there. Like, that's what I wear. Like, I have work boots, jeans, and a flannel and a beard. So I live in the drag world where you can't show a hint of masculinity. Like, not a hint because it's undesirable to people. And even when you're at parties and people see you take off your wig, like, it's like, like, do you know what I mean? Like, they're kind of repulsed by it. And these are like not even people that were going to have sex with you, but the bear world, you can't even show a hint of femininity. So there's like this good solid part of like, sometimes if I shave my beard 2 or 3 weeks before I'm attractive again as a male. And I have 2 Instagrams. One is just covered in these, like, I'll post a picture and just get, I like you, like hearts, all those DM messages of like, have sex with me. I'm like, oh, all right, count me in. But do you know what I mean? As a man.
Not really, but yeah.
Yeah, but well, look at you. You're 4 foot. What did you expect? We'll get you a chair for your pictures. Yeah.
I'm actually not sitting on a chair. I'm standing the whole time.
We got him a phone book to sit on. But so sometimes I'm kind of like, and I walk into like bear bars and people are kind of like, they'll look at you, and because I'm so awkward, I'm like, ooh, get drunk so that I can have sex with these people. But then like to do the same in drag is kind of like, there's a good like 2 weeks where I may do this for 2 weeks, like with all the lashes and the hair and the makeup and and just be like bombarded endlessly with like, oh, let's hook up. But if I was to try and do the bear thing, they'd be like, ooh, you don't have a beard.
Have you ever experienced like a gay man being less attracted to you? Because
absolutely, 100%. That's exactly what I'm talking about now. Like every single day of the week, if I was to post a picture, and so there's like this app, Growler out there, which is Growler, just for like bears and whatever, but they're like, oh, you shaved your beard. Like, you do a live stream. It's not like a sexual one. It's like just kind of like this where we sit and talk and whatever. And they're like, oh, you shaved your beard. And then people will instantly jump off your feed. It's kind of like, then I have a beard like I was a different person. Like, do you know what I mean?
So how do you handle the pressure? I mean, there must be so much pressure on like being always in the right like gender, you know, like always being like in the perfectly fitting in a certain gender. Like, how do you handle the pressure?
Do you know what? I think that I don't even remotely have to deal with the things that trans people do, but I feel like I kind of have and you know what? I'm all for trans people, like go live your best life, but I don't wish myself upon that at all because you don't have an answer to it. Like, these people physically know or mentally know who they are and know who they need to be, and they're not accepted by society, where if I want to have sex with somebody, all I have to do is dress a certain way. Does that make sense? Yeah. Or if I want to feel desirable, all I need to do is in whatever role I am. So if I get lazy and I don't shave for a week, I'm absolutely fine within this one world. But if I tried to get into this world like this, so I guess I'm kind of lucky that, I guess that's such a hard question. It is hard to like, I do want to meet somebody and I do want to fall in love maybe for the right reasons and be in love this time. But the two communities don't mix. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I can't be, I generally don't feel like the gay world, I can just be, like, I have to, like, everybody's physically attracted to something. And I guess drag queens and or bears aren't attractive to either of those communities. So it's I don't know. I don't have an answer.
Do you think there will be a time in the future where this might change? I mean, it changed in the last 20, 30 years a lot, like how, you know, with gay marriage and like all different like rights you have as a, you know, in every like sexual like direction you want to go, like those things are possible nowadays. Do you think like this will change as well?
I hope so. I think, like I said, I don't want to talk too much about RuPaul's show, but there's a cis man entering.
What's RuPaul's show? Maybe
so it's a drag queen show. Mm-hmm. Yep. That I don't really want to talk about it. Like everybody knows, just not you. Okay. But
I put it in the show notes.
You don't have to. Everyone knows. It's kind of like oxygen. But so what's happening is they have a cis male joining the cast of this year. So we're season 18 or 17, something like that. So a cis male, just for everybody at home, is a heterosexual male that has sex with women, does all manly things, is what we would typically call a male. Was born male, was assigned male at birth, lives a male life, has sex with a woman. He is the first ever man that's going into this. Kind of like, who's that one that I hate? Dame Edna or Mrs. Brown's Boys. You know, kind of like men that dress up and do comedic things of women. And the gay community have ripped that apart. Like, just absolute. Like, it's kind of like when we talk about this toxic. It's such a happy rainbow. It's really toxic. Like, they have been like, there is no spot for him in this role. I'm kind of like, I don't know how you wouldn't cheer on somebody wanting to do art. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
it's just a different form of art, you know. Like there's so many acceptance for like the strangest things of art.
Yeah.
As long as it's like popular. That's why I really like those, like the format we have, like talking to people that are not popular, but like still have like some sort of art form. And I think you have to respect it in every way. So yeah.
Well, you don't have to like it, but you don't have to be nasty to somebody for doing what they love. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, imagine this person, and I think part of me is sorry because I kind of know what it's like to be, like, I've had the odd message where it's like, just, they're always American. I don't know why, no offense, but they just always are. That it's kind of like, you're going to burn in hell. I'm going to throw a rock at your head. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you just wake up in the morning and it's kind of like, you should go kill yourself. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I do get them. They're always American.
Really?
Yeah, they're always from Texas, but
like who takes the time to go online and like find
someone? They would have had to have found me. Like, yeah, that's what I mean.
They spend so much time and put so much effort and energy in something. something like this. I think they have fear of missing out.
No. My thing
live my
is,
whole life without experiencing anything like this, and they're like so sad, so they have to like find someone else that they suck.
my thing is like with maybe in the last 3 years, the two people that have done this were definitely not mentally well. So it may be something that they like. It's not a reflection on me. Like I've never sat there like, you know what, you're right. I've looked through every single one of your... And you know what, also I'm that sour that I sit there and go through all their Facebook pictures, breaking it down for them, why I hate them. But, yeah, that bitter. But, so, like, I don't feel bad, but this male that's now in it is now in the public eye. Like, just, could you imagine thousands of people that will be messaging them, telling them what they do and what they love isn't okay. Like we've just spent the last whole of eternity trying to say gay people are okay, bi people, lesbians, transgender are all okay, and now we're kind of like, how dare that? So I don't know. I generally want them to succeed and do absolutely everything that they can for the community. We don't know them. Like gay people. Oh, glad I'm not one.
Before I come to the last couple of questions, do you want some more rosé?
Yeah. Get another wine. He's 4 foot tall, but I mean, also 4 inches. No, I have to drive. So do you know what? I've actually literally only just got my license as well. And like,
driver's license.
Yeah. So I got my license really late. I drove for like 10 years on a learners because also my friend was a learner and we thought 2 learners made a whole. Never pulled up, luckily. But every time I was pulled up, I just talked my way out of it. But the situation is like, now I'm kind of like, am I going to get pulled over? I still feel like I'm naughty when I have a drink.
Yeah, but we will probably have something to eat after this and then, yeah.
Oh, I'm busy.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, fuck. I hope this laptop's not new. I want to ask you questions now because I feel like I've sat here like, do you know one of those awkward dates where somebody sits there and talks about their ex the whole time? And I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Then ask you questions, okay, but I forgot that's what it is.
It's a podcast about you, so,
yeah.
So it's totally fine.
Oh, it's been so horrible talking about me.
I just have to go to the toilet. Let me pick you up.
Oh, he just has to go to the toilet. So while we're here, I guess I'll try and interview.
What does he want now?
If it's still recording... I could talk about so many things that we have missed out on today. So when I was a kid, I actually had a proper stalker. Our whole family did. I thought I was special, but it turned out that all the families had the peeping Tom, so it wasn't just me. What else could we have talked about? Oh, the time that I was a fat kid and I had to roll out of the swimming pool. That was always good. Sean Ferguson came over and he was like, you had to roll out of the swimming pool. And I was like, no, I didn't. I did. Rolled out of the swimming pool and got a cup of chips. What else could we have talked? Well, so many things we've missed out on. Absolutely, so many things. Thanks for paying attention to everybody that has come along as well. I'm just going to sip this. Look, that's me choking. My gag reflex ain't so good. I'm going to stop talking. I think he's wanking. I stopped talking for that last bit.
I'm very curious afterwards what I'm going to hear.
Oh God, I took them through your awful furniture.
That's all right. It is an awful furniture.
I just also want to say that there is a picture what seems to be your face photoshopped over a muscle person. Now, is this a picture of you?
No, that's actually not a picture of me.
Of course not, because they look like they're tall. Yeah. It's not even photoshopped. It's a picture that somebody's cut out and stuck over the top. Oh, you did? Yeah, I did myself. Right. Yeah, right.
Okay, so where did you learn all the dressing up, the makeup and all those things? Because when you're not a girl, like I don't know. I mean, you grew up in a time without YouTube and everything. So how did you learn it?
Do you know what? When we talk about makeup and stuff, like, it's still not perfect. Like, there's people out there who are stunning. There are people out there with hip pads and fake butts and fake boobs and all of these, etc. I think I had them out one night and I left them on the table at the drag party we were at. But, you know, like all these things. While it's not perfect today, it took a long time to get here. Like there was I wish I had my phone and we could send the picture out for everybody. There was times where I look back now and I just cringe at how bad it was, but you couldn't tell me nothing. Like I thought I was everything. I've never ever had a sewing lesson, but I just can sew. Like some people just can do things. I can. My grandmother, who was an amazing sewer, died on my birthday, like a few years before I was born. I didn't meet her, don't be sad. She was an amazing sewer, and maybe reincarnation, maybe that's the closest thing to spirituality I have. But the clothes weren't an issue, but everything else was something that was just practice. I mean, to get to this, which isn't great, but like it is what it is.
I just could never be able.
It is literally practice. Okay. Lots of wasted money in practice. Small home loan. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Are you trying to get into it?
Well,
I've seen your attempts. Lots of practice. Lots and lots of practice.
Yeah, lots and lots of practice. That's actually true. Well, so you have 2 kids and you experience a lot of different things with them already. So when you think of their school where they go to, do you think there's something to improve in the school system? Do you what if you had your own school? Like, what would you teach kids, or what would you teach to young people?
Do you know what? Like I said, I did have to homeschool over the COVID period because our son has really bad lungs. And anyway, we put him out, and that was just an option that I had made. So for 3 months, still to this day, give me another wine. No, but no. The school system, if I could have my own school, I would burn it to the ground because it's not something that I would want. I don't want to shape young minds. I hate them all. Young people keep coming out younger and younger and younger. It just, I hope, honestly, it does just keep getting easier for people. I think if I had my own school, it wouldn't even be about sexuality. Like, it would kind of be more about, like, I was really not a book smart kid, but I think, like, I had missed all the things that I was incredibly good at. Like, I am incredibly good at art. I love contemporary art. That's kind of like when they put a toilet in the middle of the room. Like, I love that. Like, I definitely will always think out of the box. Like, I think there are opportunities that were missed. I couldn't read or write or spell, but I could speak Japanese. And I was like distinctions in Japanese in my year levels and stuff like that. And like, I think we had Julia Gillard, who was Australian Prime Minister for about 4 weeks once. And she wanted to do Gonski, and Gonski was to release funds to individual students based on their needs, as opposed to giving it to schools based on a percentage of students, if that makes sense. So we have a lot of poor kids in, like, let's say, I don't know, this is going out there, but like Anala. Anala is a really underdeveloped Australian. People still live under the poverty line in Australia. So they would be taught how to do things like...
Where's Anala? Where's it?
I think it's on the way between Brisbane... Well, it is near IKEA, near Logan, between Brisbane and the Gold Coast. Like, kind of right in the middle. Anywhere with town planning within an hour radius of public transport, you'll generally find these bad areas like Caboolture and Anala, and it's where all the jokes happen. Like, everyone's like, oh, you're from Anala. Like, do you know what I mean? Where they would teach kids, instead of... Like, they will teach them reading and writing, but at the same time, they'll teach them how to make lunch. They will teach them how to do just simple things that we don't have the example.
With, like, life skills, like everyday life skills. Yeah.
I would like all schools to not have religion, but then again, I hate religion, and that's actually taking benefits away from other people. Do you know what I mean? Like, other people, that is their whole life, and they believe in God, and more power to you to believe in something. I wish that I had that ability, but I don't. So I wouldn't change sexuality. I wouldn't change any of that. I think when we teach sex ed, but it might be important to talk about the relevance of AIDS, and that's not even just for school students, because I don't think many school students contract AIDS in Australia, but for later on in life, like, there's a drug out there now called PrEP. Every gay person will know what that is. It's an anti-AIDS drug. It's almost impossible to get, even if the person has AIDS and you're both on PrEP, or one of you are on PrEP, the person's on PrEP, that you'd contract AIDS. Like, they're things that I would like talked about in schools. But as for reforming schools, I'm not bothered. Like, build kids up. Like, that's what kids need. Like, a lot of kids sometimes don't have the fundamentals of what they need. Like, some kids don't have books. Like, that's what my school would be. As for sexuality, nah, stay in the closet. Get some trauma. It makes you funny.
God. Well, not
That's a
always.
joke.
Can also bring a lot of mental health issues with it.
Oh, who isn't?
So is there any like video online where people can see like the change between you as as you are as Dustin to like become bipolar?
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Do you know what? It's not even that I would care. Like, I think there are some where I did a sewing tutorial or something like that, but I like my worlds being separate. Like you said, I like to take my kids to school and not be like, oh, there's that drag queen. But I do keep them separate because I do find that they are separate entities in separate lives, while we are the same person fundamentally, that you can look up both. Like, I have my bear one. And I also have my drag one, and I had a boy Facebook, but I got rid of that because it just was done seeing my old aunties post those racist, like, care if you like Australia, like, do you know what I mean? But I have a Facebook out there, but I like to keep them separate, to be honest. Yeah. Like,
so if people want to find more about you, where should we send them to?
You can always look at Instagram. So it's Bipaula_drag, or I think... I don't even know what my boy one is, to be honest. I think it's like Walker Tubbs, maybe, but don't hold me to it. I'm on Facebook, Bipaula Bogan. That's spelled like bipolar, bow, and can. It's a play on words. But it's just your German, and I was like, oh, he's not going to get that. But everyone else will. You can always go on there, but at the end of the day, I just want to state this as well, because I probably honestly get on my drag page a minimum of 10 penises a week.
Oh God. Okay.
Like, just suss me out first, see if I want that. Don't just send it, because there's nothing worse than an unsolicited asshole pic. Yeah. Like, you know, when you sit there and you open it up, it's like, oh, whoa, it's winking at me. Like, yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
But always look me up. I'm always happy for a chat. If you want to do drag as well, if you do live in the area, even if you don't live in the area, I'm always happy for a chat. And you know what? There are so many people out there, even men, that are kind of like secretive and have their whole lives. I'm not here to judge, but if you ever want to chat and you want to know how to do makeup, like, I'm maybe go see someone else. No, but I am always happy to help people out. And I think that's who I want to be in this world. If you want help, or you just even want to chat or to talk through what that was, hit me up. But yeah, don't just hit me up because you want to see my penis. Yeah. Unless I want to, but that's about usually 1 a.m. Australian time.
We also send you an invitation for our Unpopular People community, and this is also a place where people can exchange information and have a chat, especially about this episode or about any other episode. And if they want to find out more, they can also go through there. So everyone's listening now, just go to our website www.unpopularpeople.com and sign up for our community there. Well, Dustin, Bipaula, you, thank you so much for coming over. It's been really great, and I love the conversation we had today. I had a lot of fun, and
I'm just happy to be out of the house.
Sometimes this helps, and I also think sometimes it helps just to talk about certain things, and this is very important. So thank you very much for sharing this. It's a lot of like private information we don't get very often. So I think many people out there would be also will be very grateful to receive your words. So thank you very much for this. We come to an end now, and I say goodbye from my side. So if there are any final words from your side, now is the time for it.
Oh, it's such a wrap up. Do you know what? I think at the end of the day, everything I say, take with a grain of salt. But if you ever need help or anything like that, reach out to people, get support, and just remember that we're not promised tomorrow, I think. Like, take whatever it is on board with whoever you are today, and realize that if you want more in this life, or you want to do something, give it a crack, because you're not going to get the opportunity. Like, you're never granted that opportunity. But it's been lovely, and thanks for having me. I'm glad I got dressed up to sit in this tiny apartment. But have a great night, everybody, or day, wherever you are. I don't care. Mic drop.